But I want to know the question everybody's probably wondering in the audience. How do we optimize a bar at this point in time?
Right. So, like you said, I think we'll come back. Everything unlocks by level 76-ish. So, at level 70, you get the special attack on the weapons, which is really powerful. It has to be used carefully, but it's really powerful. At level 76, you get the ultimate. The ultimate is wild. Level 70, you also get the Zuk Cape, which makes Death Skulls, cost 40% less and do 50% more damage, which is dumb. They're also glitched right now. Be a little careful using those. I don't think it's bug abuse-ish, but they're not working as intended, and I'm not going to explain more than that on air. So we just don't need to talk about it. They're doing extra nonsense.
I see you have talked to your lawyer ahead of the show. Good.
I've read the terms and conditions of this game that we enjoy playing.
He just doesn't want to have his account mysteriously disappear again.
Regardless, people in game can explain this to you. Everybody kind of is aware of it. Death Skull's not super, they're doing a little much right now. Regardless, once you hit 76, you've unlocked pretty much everything. You can make your end game-ish rotations. That's where we're at right now. As we go on in time, that will probably change. But for right now, that's where we're at. Until you get to that point, right? Until you get to level 50, before you've got your secondary summons, it's a very simple, setup, right? You have one adrenaline spender, so you just stick it on your bar. The things that you need to manage for the combat style, right, are your soul stacks for your soul sap ability, which you unlock at level 54, and your necrosis stacks from the scythe when you unlock it, kind of, and the touch of death ability. So touch of death gives you 4. It replaces your basic attack effectively whenever it's up. The way that I would set up a revolution bar below level 50, so you don't have soul abilities yet, you don't have extra summons. Manual your summons if you have to. If you need the healing, you activate the blood. But for a Revo bar, you put Touch of Death on to build Necrosis stacks, then you put Finger of Death on to use the Necrosis stacks and Adrenaline, because it's the only use you have for either of those things right now. Then you put your other basic attacks on afterwards. When you unlock the Soul abilities, Soul Sap and either Volley of Souls or Soul Strike, you put those later on your bar. For me, I want to make sure that I never... Right, like our previous action bar rules, right? You never want to sit at 100% adrenaline. You never want to sit at full resources because you're wasting the generation of it. Same thing with this. I would put Volley of Souls cannot fire at 1 soul. It requires 2+, so you're kind of protected from losing it there. You will gain more adrenaline if you are spending less time casting other things. So if you've got a single target, you use Volley of Souls, you have better adrenaline gain. If you've got multi-target or if your target is stunnable. Currently, Hermod says he's stunnable, but it doesn't actually stun him, so don't let that confuse you. The Soul Strike is a stun and an AoE. If you need stun, if you need AoE, you put that on your bar, and you put it right before Soul Sap. Soul Sap goes off, and then your soul gets used. Done. If you have Volley of Souls, you put that right on your bar right before Soul Sap. Currently, Finger of Death does more damage than the soul abilities, so you put Touch of Death, then Finger of Death, then your Soul Spender, then your Soul Builder, then your Auto Attack. For me, before all of that is the Skeleton, because Skeleton does damage. So we do Skeleton, our 2 Necrosis abilities, our 2 Soul abilities. You have a bar that is functional. When you have the Adrenaline to do it, you summon a second summon. When you need healing, or AoE, you activate the Blood Siphon. If you're on a larger target, you hit Bloat to give them some extra damage over time. That's your full rotation.
Wouldn't the Finger of Death always, that really aggressively consumes your adrenaline, right? Will you have enough to...
It is pretty aggressive.
It does use all of your adrenaline. The Ghost only costs 30. The Zombie costs 50.
Okay. Yeah. So you need to squeeze that in the middle. Yeah.
And we lower the cost of Finger of Death based on the number of Necrosis stacks.
I do have, personally, I have the auto attack on my bar. Just as the last thing, it doesn't need to be there, because even if it wasn't there, it would still fire. But I have it there so I can have it keybound. And if I just need to build Adrenaline to activate a summon, I can just queue. I can just hit my X button once a GCD. Every 1.8 seconds, anywhere in that window is fine. And the next ability will be the basic attack. I build Adrenaline with that because I don't have to be complicated. Right?
Yeah.
You could, you only have 3 basics. And so you could manual your basics to build Adrenaline when you need to. You can force manual with ability queuing. And then once you've got your zombie out, you've got your 50% adrenaline. Done.